Andor is back, and the rebellion is unraveling faster than ever. From jungle ambushes to political betrayals, Season 2 hits the ground running with its first 3 episodes, titled 1 Year Later, Sagrona Teema, and Harvest. Set a year after the events of Season 1, these episodes dive deep into the complexities of rebellion, the personal sacrifices made by those involved, and the ever-reaching grip of the Empire. Across the 3-episode premiere, we're introduced to 5 major story arcs, starting with, of course, Cassian's. We kick things off with Cassian on a high-stakes mission to steal an experimental TIE Avenger from the Shinar test facility. With the help from Nia, a reluctant Imperial tech, he manages to escape, though not without serious difficulty piloting the ship at first. Still, the mission shows Cassian's growing confidence and leadership in the rebellion, and things do take a turn though when he lands on a jungle moon for a scheduled trade-off with his comrade Porco, but instead he gets captured by the Maya Pei Brigade, a scattered, dysfunctional rebel cell. Which I like to call them myself the Lord of the Flies crew, because that's what they eventually become. And most of this story arc focuses on Cassian's time as a prisoner among these chaotic rebels who constantly argue and bicker with each other. Cassian does try to unify the group, but ultimately fails and is forced to eventually escape after they're attacked by the moon's native wildlife. And yeah, the arc does start off strong, but after Cassian gets captured, it hits a major lull in my opinion. From that point on, he's mostly sidelined while we're stuck watching these desperate, but frankly, dumb, rebels bicker endlessly. The Lord of the Flies crew had potential, but they seriously overstayed their welcome. I think their whole storyline could have been cut in half. It really just dragged and didn't accomplish that much. Yeah, I know. I get that it's trying to comment on how infighting and inexperience has often crippled resistance movements in real life. But even so, it just went on for far too long. Still, I did love the final twist reveal that this jungle moon planet the entire time was actually Yavin IV. That was a nice touch. The next major story arc is with Mon Mothma, who's dealing with the personal cost of rebellion while navigating her daughter Lydia's arranged marriage to Skolden's son, which also happens to be a strategic alliance to help secure rebel funding. And while Mon does agree to the marriage, she's clearly still conflicted with it, even disgusted by the custom, and even more so disturbed that Lydia actually embraces it. Especially when Mon offers her a chance to back out of it, she turns it down. Surprisingly, and it becomes a personal price that Mon never expected to pay. Meanwhile, Tay Kolma, Mon's lifelong childhood friend, is becoming a growing liability. He's emotionally unstable and in the middle of a divorce too, and desperate for money. This results in him ending up in going to Skolden to try and move rebel funds, but the problem is, Skolden doesn't know about Mon's involvement in the rebellion, and he's not exactly someone you can trust with that kind of sensitive information. And as such, Tay risks in exposing Mon just to get what he needs. Luthen then finds out, and he and Mon agree that, yeah, there's no way to safely keep Tay quiet. So Luthen does what Luthen is known for. He has Cinta eliminate Tay. Now, this arc itself is a slow burn and very political, and if you're into exploring Chandrilan culture and wedding traditions, then there's some solid world building here for you. But if you don't care much about Lydia's arranged marriage, which takes up most of this arc, then yeah, it's kind of a slog. And yeah, that was the case for me. Even though I understand the point of the story, I still found it the least interesting part of the premiere. That said, I have to credit to Mon Mothma's actress. She absolutely carries this arc with her performance. The third arc follows Bix, Brasso, and Wilmon, who are now hiding out in a farming world called Mina-Rau. They're there working agricultural jobs, being mechanics, and keeping a low profile, all while waiting for Cassian to return back from his mission. Bix is still, however, traumatized by her ISB torture experience, suffering from panic attacks, paranoia, and nightmares. But even still then, everyone's just trying to stay quiet and survive. However, when an Imperial audit shows up, things then quickly spiral, as the group knows very well that they're on the planet illegally, and if they're found out, they're in some serious trouble. Brasso tries to arrange a quick transfer to another zone, but it falls apart and even leads to betrayal. Things get even worse when Bix is assaulted by an Imperial officer, leading to a bloody confrontation that puts the Imperials on full alert. But just when things do fall apart for them, it's Cassian who arrives just in the nick of time with the TIE Avenger and blasts his way in to rescue them. Unfortunately, it's not all sunshine and rainbows though, as Brasso is fatally shot by a stormtrooper during the escape. And on one hand, it is nice to see one of the troopers take their time and actually aim and take out their target rather than, running and gunning. The camera even slowly zooms in on this trooper right before he guns Brasso down. Although, at the same time, it is honestly a shame since I liked Brasso and would have preferred Wil, if anything, to get taken out instead. I just don't see any reason to care or like about Wil. Might be just me. Anyway, with the planet no longer safe, Bix and Wil flee with Cassian, and they're back on the run again. Which makes me also wonder if Cassian did go and grab his droid B2 before completely peacing out on the planet, And this is another slow burn arc, but the payoff isn't bad. And honestly, the story, I'm sure, hits close to home to many in today's world, especially in the US, with the themes of undocumented labor and government crackdowns. But what stands out most, though, is the controversial attempted R scene. And you know what I mean by the R word. I'm not gonna say it just in case. I don't know if YouTube might not like it, but yeah. I know some people might not also like seeing something like that in Star Wars either, but I myself didn't mind it. Because Andor is clearly made for adults, not 6-year-olds, and it deals with real-world power dynamics and abuse. Stuff that happens in the real world again. Like sure, if this was the Skeleton Crew, a show meant for kids, then yeah, that's a different story. But I think it works fine for a more serious show like Andor. Besides, this isn't the first time we see a serious topic handled in Star Wars. I mean, even if you look at the main films, we've got slaves, sex slaves even, drug abuse, incest, school shootings, you name it. And those are films, like George Lucas said himself, meant for 12-year-olds. So having this in Andor is not an issue for me at all. If anything, it makes sense to show something like this at least once, especially in a universe ruled by literal space Nazis. Honestly, if this scene made you uncomfortable, then yeah, that's kind of the point, it's supposed to. The Empire is supposed to be evil, and I think people forget that sometimes. Plus, yeah, it made the final scene so much more satisfying, seeing all the Imperials be blown up. So no, this wasn't my favorite arc, but it wasn't bad either, and I think it served an important purpose. The fourth story arc covers the beginnings of the Ghorman massacre, which I actually predicted would play a major role in Season 2 even before the first trailer dropped. So I'm pretty happy to see that it's being played out. Even better, Ben Mendelsohn returns as Director Krennic, who kicks off the whole thing too. He holds a secret meeting with Imperial officials to discuss the mining of Ghorman, a planet rich in a rare resource vital to Palpatine's energy program, which is clearly a nod to the Death Star. But however, the mining itself would devastate the planet and kill thousands of native Ghormani. So, what's Krennic's solution? Well, launch a propaganda campaign to paint the Ghormani as violent separatists and justify the Empire's actions. Dedra Meero is reluctantly then assigned to the project by Krennic himself, and just like that, the seeds of the Ghorman massacre are planted. And we know this is gonna be pretty big as it was referenced in Rebels and the moment that causes Mon Mothma to of course publicly break away from the Empire. And yeah, I love this arc the most, not just because it confirmed my theory, but because watching Krennic mastermind this horror and justify it was bone-chilling. And as a World War II history nerd, I loved how this scene echoed the Wannsee Conference, where the Nazis calmly planned their atrocities for the final solution over lunch. Finally, the last arc follows Dedra, who's now back on Coruscant and frustrated with the bureaucracy and her new assignment on the Ghorman project. It also explores her weirdly complex relationship with Syril Karn, who's climbed up the ranks and gone from creepy stalker to kind of a boyfriend? Yeah, I guess the two now live together, and that's not something I saw happening, but it's happening. Really, the most important thing that does happen in this arc is Dedra and Syril hosting Cyril's mother, Edie, for dinner, during which Edie repeatedly belittles Syril, prompting then Dedra to forcefully establish limitations on his mother, showing us that, yeah, she's the one wearing the pants in this relationship, unsurprisingly. And yeah, the storyline is another slow burn, but it's also not very long either. Personally, I didn't mind it, but I do think that they could have done more here, especially with how much potential Dedra and Syril do have as characters. So yeah, do these episodes set the stage for something bigger to happen? Yeah, definitely. The themes of moral ambiguity, sacrifice, and creeping authoritarianism are front and center here. But did I like the premiere itself? Honestly, I liked how it started and how it ended. The action scenes there were just awesome, great. But in between, I was kind of disappointed. It dragged, the pacing felt off, and with so many storylines packed into each episode, some arcs got more attention than others, and the ones that did weren't always the most interesting in my opinion. That said, visually the show was still incredible. The cinematography is stunning, the sets and costumes are fantastic, and the acting, especially from Mon Mothma's actress, is top-notch. Even though I wasn't thrilled with her arc, her performance made it worth watching. But if I'm being frank here, I kind of preferred the Season 1 premiere over this one, and even that felt boring at times, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, Andor didn't really take off until after the premiere in Season 1, and I think that'll be the case here too. I think things are going to get even better and better as we get closer to Rogue One. But yeah, that's just my take on this. What do you guys think about the 3-episode premiere for Andor Season 2? And what's been your favorite story arc so far? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.